We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater podcast, the podcast where we talk about
Everything Theater. Yeah. Hi, I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And we have a favorite guest with us today and a partner in crime with her. But the favorite guest is wearing a very different hat. We've got Maggie Mancinelli-Cahill with us. And Maggie, you know what? Your thanger still says capital rep.
It
Your
does.
identifier, yeah.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Sorry.
So, but Erin Patrick, who's we identified the chief cook and bottle washer at WAM Theatre, is going to teach you that new trick. Welcome,
Happy to.
both of you.
Thank you so much for having us.
So, Maggie, you left Cap Rep after 30 years, but you know, you could take Maggie out of one theater, but you got to put her back in another one. And now you're at WAM over in Lenox, and you are directing their next show, which opens real soon, and we're going to get to that, called Rooted.
Yes.
So I have to, if you read off the website, the internet on, it says, what could possibly go wrong when a plant lover becomes an internet messiah?
Right.
So how's that for a setup for the show?
You know, it's really great. I wasn't going to direct this soon after supposedly retiring from showbiz, whatever. But when our wonderful artistic director, who's Janae, who couldn't be with us today, Janae came to me and asked me to read the play, and I read it, but I said, yeah, and she said, would you think about directing? I said, I'll think about it, but the answer is probably going to be no. You understand, don't you? Well, I love the play. I love this play. It's about a woman who loves plants, who lives in a tree house for 12 years with the help of her sister, who helps her, do everything outside of the tree house. And I fell in love with that character. And then, this character falls in love with doing her bits of wisdom about plants on the internet and becomes a sensation. And her followers come to her and her tree and cause her a whole lot of trouble. And the play has a lot to do about how some of the most unlikely people become icons, and whether they want to or not. Some really want to and others don't, as we know in this world. And it's how she can maintain her identity in a world that doesn't want her to. And I fell in love with the play, though, for the reason that I thought the story was really funny and charming. And also because it's hopeful. It's a hopeful play.
I want to stop you there for a sec, Maggie. How important is hopeful and female forward? How important are hopeful and female forward plays for WAM, Erin?
I think
Erin.
I think it's really at the core of what we do. We say that we are driving change by amplifying women's stories, that where women gather, change follows. And I think sometimes that has the connotation of being stories that can be darker or about our pain. And I think we believe it's equally important to talk about our joy and the ways we find connection and the hope that we find in our own spaces, in the spaces we create, in the relationships. And I think the story is so human and has a lot of depth about caregiving for yourself, for putting down roots, for resilience. And that to me is so much of just that's how we move forward in this world right now. And as women, we are the ones who move it forward so often. I think this is really a play for this moment, and it's deeply central to the mission of what we're doing at WAM.
To what extent do you have a give and take with the audience? The beauty of theater is that it's so impactful, and people leave, hopefully, on the drive home talking about that play, especially when it has that impact. To what extent do you hear that back from the audience? Do you have talkbacks, or what's your connection with your audience there at WAM?
Absolutely. I think conversation is really central. We've gotten the feedback that we get a lot of feedback from so many places, which is beautiful. But we've heard that like conversation is what we do really, really well. So we do have a couple of talkback moments with, the sort of traditional theater talkbacks with the artists, which are wonderful. And we also create these additional experiences. For this show, we've got a plant exchange as a part of it. So this Saturday, actually, before the show, we're gathering in the lobby and encouraging folks to bring little plant starts or seeds and to exchange them with one another. And we think that's going to be an experience that really informs how people go into the play and drives their conversations after. And we're also partnering with Berkshire Natural Resource Council and Jenny Hansel and doing a pre-show nature walk at Olivia's Overlook.
When is that? When is
That
that,
is on May
Erin?
9th. It's a
May 9th.
Saturday evening show, and so it's a mid-afternoon walk. So folks could like take the walk, make a 5:30 dinner reservation, join us at the theater, and we'll have a little like gather and chat afterwards. Because I think, yeah, to your point, the conversation is what the plays are about. The stories are great. We love having these experiences in the room together, but it's what it like percolates for us afterwards, where the juice is.
Yeah, and can
Engaging
I?
with the audience, Maggie, is you've done. You do this. Doing this at another, I think Ella and I were talking about it, being at a different venue.
Mhm.
Share a little bit about that.
Well, WAM is not a stranger organization to me. We did a co-production of What the Constitution Means to Me at Capitol Rep, when the wonderful Kristen Vanderhoven was the artistic director of WAM. And then we've also, I've been on panels and, et cetera, and we go to each other's shows. So WAM isn't a stranger to me, and I've always loved the WAM mission. So I want that is part of the reason I said yes. And the idea of being in another theater is both exciting and daunting. You're going, especially because, I want to sing WAM staff praises for just a minute, including Erin, who is on this call. At a small theater, you have a smaller staff, and everyone has to be willing to pitch in. There's no such thing as, well, I'm going to be absent for 2 days, but don't worry about it. There's no such thing as don't worry about it, because somebody else on that staff who's also worrying about 3 other things is going to worry about your 2 days away. In other words, everybody's got to have a certain kind of attitude and pitch in. It is always that way in every theater, really, but it's especially important in a mission-driven theater that does quality work and wants to do it right, wants to do it with certain artistry, and has a small staff. And so I wanted to make sure I could fit into that, I have had the glorious privilege of being surrounded by some of the best designers in the country at Capitol Rep and a wonderful, very veteran, seasoned staff. And there is something very tasty about that. And I've always said, I don't know what I did to wake up and get that life as an artist in America. Very, very few people can do that. And I told you that before because I really believe it. So when I came here, I knew this was going to be different. I was going to have to act differently, open myself up to the way WAM's idea of collaboration is not necessarily the kind of collaboration that I'm used to. and that I would, oh gosh, I'd probably have to learn something, guys. So, but I've been reading stuff that old people should always be learning to keep their brains,
Yes.
going, right? So I have learned a new vocabulary, and I have learned a new collaborative way of dealing with people in the room, that everyone has agency, everyone has an opinion, and it's been very good for me to listen more and lead in a different way.
And like Mutual Admiration Society, we feel so lucky that Maggie, took the leap and joined us on this, because there's so much that I think we as a team have learned and grown from. Like, I think we've informed each other's process in this kind of beautiful, like, reciprocity. When collaboration goes well, everyone is changed a bit. And I think, not to make it a love fest, but this process really kind of has been one, I think, for us.
For me too.
Nice.
Me too.
And let's talk about some of the impressive elements of this show. I was reading that you have like a full tree house on stage.
We do. One of the fun things about directing is that, you have to find out about your subject matter. So reading about tree houses, from the tiniest little platform on a tree to these incredible resorts that have been built in trees, and people, pay thousands and thousands of dollars to go spend a little bit of time in them. It was really interesting to figure out how designer, and by the way, the designer is Nora Smith. No, have I got her names mixed up?
Nora Marlowe
Marlowe
Smith.
Smith. I've worked with her several times, and I want to get her name right. She is a wonderful designer. She did once at Capitol Rep and also a Sherlock Carroll, and she's a wonderful person to work with. And I said to her, look, this tree house, we have to believe someone could live there, because this play has some magic realism to it, and it has a variety of different kind of aspects to the production. But I said it won't work if we don't believe she could live in the tree house. So I said, we need to show everybody her room where she does all her work, her plants, everything happens. It's kind of like the core space of the treehouse. And then we have to insinuate, but not see, that there's probably another room, upstage somewhere where she sleeps and does things. So, because, the first question everybody asks is, where do you go to the bathroom in a treehouse? Right? Things like that. I wanted that to be not at the forefront of someone's, mind. So Nora designed this small space. I could believe it was in a huge oak tree named Mabel, and there were a lot of things went into it to get everything to fit and do the things that the play requires of us.
Having seen those other two shows that she did the set design for at Capitol Rep, if anybody hasn't, I know Ellen, you saw both of them. The attention to detail that she has is exquisite.
Yes, yeah. It's interesting. She has a lot of she loves historic detail, and she brings it into her work, and it's imaginative. And so that's what we really needed for the treehouse, just that little bit of, yes, this really could happen. There are famous women who have lived in trees. There's a famous one. I want to say that this name is correct, but this may be, as my son would say, mom speak. Her name is Butterfly Hill. I think that is her name. She lived in a Berkeley treehouse for 3 years as a protest for the environment. Big activist environmentalist. And she wrote a book, and it's very fascinating to read about someone who really did this. And her treehouse was much more primitive than our lead characters, but it was still a treehouse that she lived in, and she did her activism for 3 years. So you find these things out when you're directing a play. I would never have known about a woman who
Now,
really lived in a treehouse, unless I directed a play.
it's a three-person cast.
Yes.
Local, out of town, give us a little.
There's one local actress named Jenny Jadow, who a lot of folks will know from her work at Shakespeare and Company. She's an amazing comedic and heartfelt. She's a great actress. And then May McQuarrie is a fairly recent graduate of UMass Amherst and is based in the Boston area. So she's got local roots, but is,
Local roots.
it got to do it, right? And then the one who's really from out of town is Marcy McGuigan. I'm saying her name right, yes?
Yes, yes.
Who's coming to us from Wells, Maine, and Maggie made that introduction, and she is just fabulous as Emery, our central treehouse dwelling character. So it's a nice mix of some folks that I think people will recognize if they've seen plays around, and new faces that really, really sparkle in this text.
Yes, very much. Marcy has done a few shows at Capitol Rep. She was in a crazy production of A Christmas Carol by Patrick Barlow, and she played about 12,000 characters. And she was in Other Desert Cities. She played the aunt who just has gotten out of rehab, and she played one of the sisters, Rosenzweig, when we did that play. So I have never directed Marcy before, but I knew her from afar, and I've always loved having her at the theater. And when I read this play, it's true, I couldn't get her out of my mind. We had auditions, and I saw some really fine actresses. I kid you not. If Marcy weren't in the picture, I could have cast the play 3 times over. The acting was really palpably good, but I just couldn't get out of my mind that Marcy has this special kind of quirkiness that was right for this woman who lives in a tree.
Erin, how often is it that you will pick a season and then go find the director? Or is you sometimes, might you now say to Maggie, because you adore her so much, what would you like to do next season? And Maggie will bring a show to you. What's the mechanism?
Oh, that's a great question. So shows come to us in so many different ways. We have a literary committee at WAM that is really central to our creative process, that meets every month, reads plays, makes recommendations that sort of come through forward to our staff and Janae. And then we also have good relationships with directors, with playwrights, with artists that we admire. So it's a bit of an amalgam every season of like what's in the pipeline, what have we done as a reading that we think has legs to come onto the main stage, which is what happened with Rooted. We did a reading of Rooted last season. The previous season, we had done a reading of Deborah Zoe Laufer's Be Here Now. So we'd sort of developed this relationship with the material, and it's kind of growing and culminating in this main stage production. In the future, I think certainly, as this is Janae's 3rd season as our artistic director, so she's really kind of cultivating the relationships and the artists that we love working with. And yeah, I think that there is always going to be space for like hearing, oh, Maggie really wants to direct this. Let's see if it can fit in the season. Or this playwright has this new script that's going to be a really amazing reading and workshop. So we have a number of avenues for programming, from our Fresh Takes reading series, our Fertile Ground development series, and our main stage, so we can find the right home for the different kinds of stories and artists that we adore. And that feels like such a privilege to be able to offer those opportunities.
And what
Maggie,
else?
did you make a move over, or are you making the drive every day?
I made the drive every day for the first 3 weeks, and I am staying up here for Tech Week. It's a little much for me, although driving in the Berkshires in the nighttime is a thrilling experience for any passenger I'm driving. I never know where I'm going. I mean, that is really true, because everything in the Berkshires is just 30 minutes away from anything else. but I have no way of knowing how to get there, you know? So,
Ellen, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to ask what else WAM has in store for us that you are able to announce at this moment.
Oh, absolutely. So after Rooted runs May 1st through 16th, and then after that, we've got our Fresh Takes reading series happens over the summer. So we're doing a reading of A.K. Payne's Amani and Keiko Green's Gorgeous. Those are both intimate readings at Ventfort Hall in Lenox. So it's sort of a beautiful setting. And that one's really all about the conversation with the plays. And our summer soiree is in the summer. It's our sort of our benefit event, which will feature a new musical, sections from a new musical by female composer and lyricist team. Who I don't think I'm quite allowed to announce what it is yet. And in the fall, we are doing our fall main stage is Bess Wool's Camp Siegfried, and Janae will be directing that, which is actually, we were talking the other day, it has really similar themes to Rooted about sort of group mentality and connection and what happens when people believe unexpected things, but it's from a really different lens. It will not be in a sparkly magical treehouse.
and is in Fresh Takes, is that where Precious or Gorgeous is being read?
Yes,
Okay. I have to come to see that reading because it's about a bulldog.
it is.
It's
There's a
about
prize bulldog.
Okay, road trip, Ellen.
yeah,
Sure.
totally road
30
trip.
minutes from anywhere.
I'll sit in your back seat if you'll allow me to.
We'll take you.
Oh, thank you.
We'll talk after. We got you.
Will be an actual bulldog on stage?
There will not be a live bulldog on stage, I don't believe, but I'm exchanging emails with the director literally as we speak about how we solve the bulldog situation. Because she's central. She's central.
Central.
Gorgeous is an
Yeah,
important role.
central. Yeah.
I would bet if you put out a casting call for a trained bulldog, you will find one.
I have
Oh, you will.
legitimately seen a bulldog walking around Lenox, and I have come this close to talking to the owner. I'm like, I need to, how does she do with lights?
I'll tell
Gonna
you,
be a
this is-
star.
Right. This is, we're going to give a tip of the hat to somebody who's incredibly talented and sadly lost their life following a stroke. Maggie and Ellen knows what we were talking about. Smith, Josh Smith, who was incredibly talented, and his dogs were incredibly talented. That's why I bring it up. And he was an actor and a musician. And he had these little dogs who did whatever he said.
Well, mostly.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, God rest in peace. I love Josh. He was my artistic partner for 12 years in doing musicals. I couldn't do a musical without him, and I miss him every day. But his little dog, Lucy, was infamous at the theater. Benita knows because she was in a play with Lucy. And Lucy stole, I think it would be safe to say, every scene, right, that she was
Not
in.
even a question.
Shakespeare in Love, yeah.
Yes.
Where Benita, of course, did one of the first cross-dressing parts.
Yeah.
Yes, played a very pompous gentleman and, you know, and a couple of prostitutes, you know, just thrown in for good
A
measure.
bar wench, you know. In 5-inch heels and hot pink boots. But, you know,
Yeah.
Yes, you
it
do.
was fun. Take the mustache off, put the mustache on.
It was really fun.
But the
You
dog
know,
was great.
I wanted to tell you something when you were talking about, you know, having animals and things on stage. Deborah Zoe Laufer is kind of infamous for putting impossible things in the center of her plays. In Be Here Now, it's a wonderful play. It's the prequel to this play. She's writing a trilogy, by the way. She's still writing the third one, but Rooted is in the middle. And Be Here Now, it's a crow that
Yeah.
and the crow has to do certain things in the play. You know, you have to say, oh, look at her, she's going in circles. Oh, look at her, she's flying. And you're like, oh my God, how are you going to do that in the theater? Well, in Rooted, I can only say this to you, the plants have to behave in certain ways, the mimosa plants. And so we have been working with a stunningly talented puppeteer from the Berkshires named David Lane. And he has created some plant puppets for us that are part of the Emery's fantasy world, where her plants come alive for her in certain ways.
The plants
And
have names and are central characters to the
they're
play.
central character, yeah. So there are just certain things she describes these moments when Emery is alone with her plants that you have to tackle. And David has done a great job helping us do that.
Oh, now, I mean, if it's not for the fabulous direction and
Oh,
the
well,
three
yeah.
talented women, you got to go see the plants.
You got to come see plants that
Right,
do.
there's something for everybody in this
Yes.
production, which runs on from the 1st to the 16th.
Yes, yeah. Our first public performance is this Friday, May 1st. The press opening is Sunday the 3rd, and then we run for 3 weekends.
Fabulous. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, yay.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about this wonderful production. And everybody get out and see it. Anything else from you, Benita?
Just, it's great seeing you, Maggie. Great making your
Great
acquaintance,
to see
Erin.
you. Great to see you.
Likewise.
I'm so sorry I had to miss Baby. I just want to say that again, because everyone that I know who saw it just was so delighted. They had such a great time in the theater. And, that's just priceless to me.
Ellen
That
was
somebody
fabulous.
walks out of a theater and feels good.
Yeah. There's definitely something to be said, especially in these times, to kind of walk out of a show and just be like, I just really enjoyed myself for 2 hours.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And they will do that May 1st to the 16th at WAM Theatre in Lenox, directed by the most fabulous Maggie Mancinelli-Cahill, who I see you changed your title on your page. So.
I did. I changed it to emeritus. Yeah.
Ladies, thanks so very much. Break legs.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful run. Look forward to seeing you again. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Ellen Cripps. We'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything, everything.